All right. Welcome, everyone. I'm Otis B. Dreads. Got Bobby 2 Trill.
What's up?
How trill are you today?
Out of 10, maybe about an 8.
Nice.
Yeah,
Nice.
not too bad.
Too bad. I wanted to start out because we're gonna talk some more Delphi. Um because we could just really talk about this for months on end. I believe you
Uh-huh.
even mentioned that, in the last show. Speaking of which, man, there's been a lot of new subscribers over there at the YouTube channel. Hello, the Heathen Coalition. Welcome.
The Heathen
So I want to
Coalition.
thank all the new subscribers. Had some really good comments on the last show. I'm not like a huge content creator, if you would say, but this video, the last video that we did, has done quite well, over 1,500 views. And we're very, very appreciative of that.
Yes, indeed.
There has been some comments I'll get to that were mentioned on the YouTube channel that I want to bring up regarding Odin sacrifices.
Yeah.
Um, Ruby, good to see you. She is one of our new subs.
Well, hello.
Um, but today we're going to talk. Of course, there's always something going on with Delphi.
Yeah, seems to
Um,
be.
here of late, some of the bigger news is the state responds to the memorandum.
Yeah.
Um, the defense wants cameras in the courtroom,
Which is wild.
which is very strange. It's and the prosecution doesn't. And it's usually the other way around.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, it seems like they got something they want to tell us.
yes.
Pretty wild.
Yes. And then there's a individual by the name of Patrick Donovan Westfall.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you guys are familiar with this particular person. I came across you actually brought him up
Yeah.
to me.
Yeah, he's listed in the documents there that they released. So, you just do a little Google search on him and stuff. You find some interesting things about him.
You do. And he's got a lot of priors.
Yeah,
A lot of priors concerning domestics.
Mhm.
He's just not a very nice guy.
No.
This is him. And he's a big guy.
He is a big
I mean,
fella.
6'6", 270. So in no way,
Yeah.
excuse me, in no way, shape, or form are we saying that, this is, a bridge guy, because
No.
he would be very,
Yeah.
very, noticeable.
Yeah, this is like a football lineman.
Yeah.
Big guy.
He's a scary looking dude.
Yeah. Interesting fella. He was known well before the Delphi stuff and actually had articles and things about him because of the groups that he's involved in. He was actually listed in a report from the Southern Poverty Law Center and the ACLU. Well before the murders, as being a part of this group that would go and fight in the streets and stuff. And, your typical ideological group.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's interesting that you have brought that up, that this is a guy that just didn't come out of the woodwork.
No.
Yeah, he's been around.
Yeah.
As you mentioned, the SBLC,
Mhm.
the ACLU, FBI. He was known as a domestic terrorist.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what they were looking at him as, that. Yeah, for sure.
How does somebody, slip through the cracks of an investigation? No, I mean, because there is a slight trail. Okay, because you may be wondering, you guys watching, you may be wondering, okay, well, how does he connect to Delphi other than the alleged sacrifices, the Odinist sacrifices. How is he involved? Well, you mentioned he was mentioned in the memorandum.
Yep.
Brad Holder was mentioned in the memorandum. Elvis Fields was mentioned in it. All of which, none of which I should say were brought in, questioning that none of them were persons of interest.
Not that we know of.
They kind of flew under the radar.
Yeah.
So his link to Brad Holder and Brad Holder's link to the girls, I mean, like we mentioned, we've always had kind of a conspiratorial mindset, which is really where we're coming from.
Yeah, I don't believe anything anybody tells me. So that's why we're really skeptical and
very
conspiracy minded.
So, nothing should be, left, every stone turned, man.
Yeah.
And we're just average guys.
It's what sounds weird on the surface, like, a cult or something did this. It does sound weird, but when you start putting the pieces together, you kind of realize, man, maybe it ain't that weird after all. I mean, as far as crimes go, maybe it's something that does happen more than we actually think it does. I had always had questions about why 2 girls were taken when on the trail that day. It would have been a lot easier just for him to take one person.
Sure.
Why take the chance that one of them could holler or one of them could pick up a stick when you're not looking and hit you with it, when you could just as easily take one if you have some kind of bloodlust. There was 2 taken for a reason for me. And it's always been that way. It's always, why were there 2 girls taken? There has to be a reason for that. He passed up 3 girls on the bridge, they said. There was a single woman who was on the bridge who saw the guy on the bridge, could have taken her. Why these 2 girls? I've always wondered, were they targeted, or was it just a group who could have been there who were specifically looking for that match? 2 people.
Yeah.
So it's curiosity. Well, and the Patrick Westfall stuff, he knows Johnny Messer, who was also listed in the documents. He knows Elvis Fields. Him and Brad Holder were best of friends. If you look on Brad Holder's Facebook page, before February 2017, there are just tons of pictures. He damn near idolized Patrick Westfall. This is a big dude in a big group, man, and this guy wanted to be a part of it.
So this guy, he I guess, welcome, Joni. No, you didn't miss much. We just started getting into a welcome. Thank you for being here. He's kind of the leader, like the big kahuna of this particular, Odinist sect, or, in Indiana.
Yeah, he's the big wig in the Vinlanders, and they're what they say is a white supremacist organization, but it probably is. It seems like it might very well be, but it's a big group. But he's also an Odinite, and he's in that group too. And this is where the Southern Poverty Law Center and the ACLU came in and said that, white nationalism has been hijacked with, or put together with, Odinism. And that just like, and it was popular during World War II in Nazi Germany, this religion was. And that's why it's coming together, kind of. So Patrick Westfall is a big deal in the Vinlanders, and that's where all the reports were written about him. But they do mention in the reports his connection with a cult, and things like that. Well, in 2017, like I said, he was best friends with Brad Holder. And you look at their pictures, he was actually in a picture cutting a branch, and it said in the caption that Brad Holder wrote, "Cutting runes," and this was in December 2016. And
just a few months. I was going to say, you said like, a few months before the actual murders.
And they said in the report that it looked like at least one of these branches had been cut to make ruins. And that's exactly what it shows Patrick Westfall in the picture doing, and Brad Holder kind of praising him for it.
Again, how can something like this just slip through the cracks of an investigator? This is big stuff. I've seen less credible evidence, and I watch a lot of true crime, a lot of shows like this. this subject matter, less compelling evidence gets gone through with a fine-tooth comb, but
Right.
yet a picture months before the murders of him and Brad Holder together, and Westfall is cutting
Yeah.
a branch
With an electric saw.
with an electric saw, probably like a sawzall
Yeah.
or a
Yeah, exactly.
jigsaw, a sawzall,
Yeah, reciprocating saw.
reciprocating saw. Okay, and it just blows my mind that something like this is completely, because
Yeah.
in the investigation, as you said, one of the branches didn't look like it was just snapped off. It wasn't all jagged like you would expect.
They said it looked like it was cut with a tool.
Interesting.
Yeah. So we got that. That's just a couple months before the murders, which I find interesting. There's a lot more. There are sticks on Brad Holder's page. He's got sticks in the form of ruins on the ground well before the murders. He was doing this before. What's curious about Patrick Westfall and Brad Holder is that Brad Holder supposedly told his girlfriend, who went to the police about it. He told his girlfriend that don't hang around with this Patrick anymore. You know, he's very dangerous. He's a murderer and he's got nasty friends. Okay. And he stopped being his friend. And the reason that he told his girlfriend he stopped being friends with Patrick Westfall was because they got in an argument down by a creek during a ritual. That Brad Holder didn't like what Patrick was doing.
Interesting. I got a couple comments. They're starting to flow in. Joni Deputy says Brad could have known that they were on the bridge via his son's Snapchat.
Absolutely.
Because I believe it was Abby and his son were in communication via Snapchat. He also says, and maybe he brought an already cut branch from another ceremony / ritual to the branches from the site to enhance the power. These guys believe. We don't have to believe this.
No.
You know, what makes it scary is that they believe it.
Yeah. People who believe in the religions believe in it wholeheartedly. I'm a Christian. I have been my whole life. It guides my life, you know, and in every way. I don't put it out there, you know, but I do take it very seriously. So do these people with their religions as well. Some of them take them very seriously.
Joni W also says, I mean, the bone structure, the jeans wear, it's a match,
right,
to Bridge Guy.
Yeah. So what's going on here? You know, why do you have a judge recuse himself? How did 2 police officers, one of them died in a fire?
Good segue, because I wanted to bring that up next. Let's talk about some of these investigators / police that were going down this trail.
Yeah.
Mysteriously dying. I mean, I don't think we know for sure whether or not it was suspect or a suspicious death.
Right.
I don't know if we know that yet. But it does seem odd.
It does seem odd.
Let's talk about. Tell us a little bit about that. You know a little bit more about these.
The only one I know for sure about is the fire. It was a suspicious fire. I think it was arson, is what it was claimed to be. And this was the female investigator who ran the lie detector test on Elvis Field's sister.
Yes,
she was found, killed in a fire, and it. The same way the Flora girls were. They were killed in a fire as well. It's all, when it comes, I can understand if this is going on and this is what the investigators are seeing, man, how they could possibly be pretty scared of these groups. They're big groups. They got powerful people. Look, Brad Holder is a 33rd degree Mason, man. Holds a lot of weight in your community and stuff when you got those big wigs in there with you.
Yeah.
You got the Odinites, the Vinlanders. These are big organizations. And there's probably a lot of members of, say, the police officers and the guards that are guarding Allen who are members of these groups in some way. And are they going to turn anybody in? Like I said, you had a judge recuse himself because he said that he was afraid of us. The people out there who had bloodlust, he said, looking at this case. Yeah, how could you be afraid of us? we're the peaceful people who are wanting to see this solved. I don't think so, man. I think he saw the documents, knew what he was up against, and said, "I don't want nothing to do with this.
That makes
I'm
sense.
recusing myself."
I mean, why? What other reason would this judge not want to be involved?
Yeah, I think of how this is one of the biggest cases in the country, and you wouldn't want,
Especially in
yeah,
a town of
yeah,
3,000.
yeah, and
This is devastating.
yeah, you would want to think that, hey, I want to preside over this.
Yeah.
You know, I want to show what I can do as a judge. This is going to make me a bigwig and possibly put me somewhere in the future. That's good.
It's going to enhance his,
Yeah,
career to be
yeah.
involved in that.
Plus, you want justice for the girls and all that. Why wouldn't you
Yes.
want to be the one in charge of that to make sure that justice is getting served? No,
Yeah.
he's like, no, I'm out, not doing it. Not, he was privy to this information, I'm sure, and he saw it, and he was probably like, man, I ain't dealing with these people. Because if the officer was killed in a fire that was arson after the floor fires, these girls are killed, and these other cops and everybody's seeing the cover up by these other ones, you know, who do you got? Who's going to fight for you?
Yeah.
So they just, you throw your hands up. I can't beat them. So
I'm gonna, back down. Joni says, God be the glory, but there are lesser gods.
sure.
That's why our God said, should have no other gods before him. She also says, I'm assuming it's a girl,
Yeah.
Joni.
Well, that's what I always say. Oddly enough, is when I'm around somebody like has a different belief or some believes in the devil or whatever, I always say, my God made your God.
Well, there you go. Touche.
Yeah.
And she says, and when you said that about the judge recusing himself, that really rang true to me. You just have to look at it from, I mean, you really got to use some logic here. What sounds logical?
Yeah.
Well, we don't have degrees in law. We have an interest in true crime.
Yeah.
We have an interest in seeking the truth. I mean, this kind of rang home to us, because we're about 4 hours east of Delphi. We're not too far, so it was almost like it was in our backyard.
Yeah, I mean, these are the kind of people we live
A
around.
different state, but we're neighbors. So this is something that hey, we like to. And then, I mean, it just went completely silent. I mean, it went cold for like 5 years.
Yeah, and then I found myself like every week going on still and punching in Delphi murders and finding out did anything come up this week or anything, just hoping that they would find somebody.
And then all of a sudden we get hit with
we
get hit with everything.
Yeah, you get all kinds of weirdness, but the weirdness makes sense to me. All these guys know each other. They came by these guys in different angles, and then to find out that they all know each other and they're in the same group. You got Elvis Fields telling his sister, I'm a part of a gang now. I got a brother,
friends,
that kind of thing. And I'm going to get in a lot of trouble because I was there and 2 girls got killed. And if he's saying this the next day, and then he said he put the horns on Abby. I mean, if they told them, the cops, that before anybody knew anything about the scene, that has to be a big deal. To me, at least it would be.
No, I absolutely agree. And I have something, speaking of horns. Here's something that Nelly B2434, we're on YouTube. She said, I did some digging myself, and there is a horning celebration for Odinists on 14th of February. Interesting. It's the Feast of Vali, and Vali, I guess I'm pronouncing that right, was Odin's son. The F-type symbol can also symbolize Vali, This is particularly interesting. In Old Norse sacrifice, if animals or humans were the victims, not only did they do damage to the throat, they would hang them from a tree and drain the blood and collect that blood in a ceremonial bowl. They would then take twigs and splatter the victims, the victims, the altar, and anything else of significance with the blood. Libby was found covered with splatter and little droplets of blood
Yeah.
on her. Also, the horns of Odin represent earth, sky, water, also mind, body, and spirit. Then there is the Yggdrasil. I no idea how to pronounce that.
Okay.
The tree on which Odin sacrificed himself. Now we look at Libby and Abby. Their bodies were found by water next to and touching a tree on the earth beneath the sky. I find it hard to believe all this is coincidence. Is this how the Odinists knew where the girls would be? Because Abby was in touch with Logan that day.
There you go. It's getting stranger and more and more strange as the days go on.
What do you think about that little deep dive into that? Because there's a lot of similarities, and that was a great comment. I was not I was not privy to that. It's Westfall, and that would be FAL, like West, East, West, and Fall, FALL.
Yeah, that is interesting, man. I know nothing about the Odinism stuff, and if that's true, then that makes perfect sense why it happened where it happened, and the whole scene would make more sense if this is what it is. It would absolutely make sense. Remember the first investigator when after he stopped investigating, he did a what do you call it? Like a podcast with somebody, answered a few questions, and he said the scene had like was staged.
Right.
That there were what they call them markers at the scene.
Yes.
And that's starting to make a lot more sense what he meant by that. He said it was a very strange scene. Well, it would make sense if all these guys are coming together truly believing in this stuff, then you figure this would be something that they would do. If they're that, I mean, look, we obviously know they like secret society type of stuff. You got the Holder family all trying to be involved in the Freemasons. They are interested in these ruins and stuff. We know that they are. How far would they go with it? They even got video on Brad Holder's site of them at a ritual. They do go and do these things. They truly do believe it. So it would make sense.
Joni says if Brad is a 33rd, it's probably was that family? I wonder who his dad is.
And that's just it too. Yeah, he had the apron on. The pictures are taken. You could see him on his site, and he had the 33 on his apron, and it was his son's initiation into the Masons. That's why the pictures are there. It was his son's first day initiation into the lodge. So yeah, I'm sure his father might have been as well a Mason. Going down in family.
And maybe it does work like that. The Light of Lucifer, Masons. We probably have a because that stuff's not conspiracy, so but a fellow conspiratorial mind, I guess we have.
And look, maybe you got Freemasons, you got Odinites, you got Vinlanders who believe in the Odinites and stuff. How many of these people are involved? Was the judge who recused himself? Is he a member of the lodge? That kind of stuff.
A lot of excuse me, a lot of judges, a lot of people in high, positions of power, whether it be at a state or local government. Not even 33rds. I mean, my grandfather, as I've mentioned before, my grandfather was a low-level Freemason. He worked in, state politics and things like that. But the higher you get in those ranks, up towards the 32nd, 33rd degree, you get put in higher positions of power, whether it be a judge, And you don't rat on your brother, you
Yeah.
know. We know of, the blue code, the brotherhood
Yeah.
that police share. They protect their own
Mhm.
and whatnot. You gotta think and know it's fact that they do the same thing.
Yeah.
You know, Freemasons do the same thing. Any little secret, club, yes, you swear on an oath. You have to make a choice, as Joni said. This is something that you have to get involved in.
Yeah.
You know.
What's funny is that Brad Holder shared also on his Facebook page. It was a quote. I think it was something like, a true brother will help you find the body and never mention it again. He had a quote like that on his Facebook page back around the time after the murders. And that was peculiar
Yeah.
as well, obviously.
Could you let my pug in?
I sure can. I love them.
I guess my wife left. Sorry for the interruption, guys. I guess my wife left. Yep, here he comes. So let's talk a little bit about this whole camera ordeal. We'll get out of the Odins and sacrifices and all that for a minute, because I want to talk about this camera deal. It is so backwards how this is coming about. Usually, prosecution would want cameras and the defense would not, because they're trying to defend either the integrity of their client or whatnot. But it's not that case now. The defense seems very, very sure of themselves with this memorandum, putting out the names, like, you had said, the Brad Holder, the Elvis and all. And they want the cameras in there. And the prosecution is, saying, no. This is going to turn into a circus. This is going to cause people to, put 15-second clips out there. This is going to cause a circus. It's going to distract the jurors. And a guy I've been watching on Court TV, Vinny Politano or something. I can't remember his last name. But he rebutted this reasoning. I'll say the prosecution does not want cameras in. He was like, you know what? Since 1991, Court TV's been doing this. Do they not understand how this works? Okay, meaning you have one main camera and everybody feeds off of that.
That's right.
Okay. It's been speculated, does the prosecution want to keep what the defense is saying out of the direct earshot and of whatnot of anybody watching? Oh, and they even bring up the satanic panic. Remember that back in the 80s? For those listening, if you're as old as me and Bobby Two Trill, you remember the satanic panic of the 80s. They bring that up. It's almost like they don't want to hear what appears to be pretty compelling stuff. What's your take on this this whole camera thing? What do you think?
The same way, the defense is adamant that they want cameras in the court. That says a lot. That means they have a lot of confidence and they want the people to hear what they have to say. And the prosecution's like, hey, no, man, no, let's not televise. It's telling, and it goes right along with the theme here.
That's what Court TV does. We have a whole network that started, like I said, in 91, that, their whole basis is to cover cases, to be in the courtroom. Vinny mentioned that, he's interviewed jurors half the time. They don't even realize cameras are there. Okay. They even mentioned the state, the prosecution mentions, well, what about the internet? People just look around. People are interested in this case, and they want justice for the families, for
Yeah.
Abby and Libby, like all of us do. And that's
Yeah.
why we go down these roads. And that's why we, will entertain these, theories. And there could be some there, it's I've seen it, more people come to the side of it wasn't, pardon the pun, it wasn't a lone gunman.
All right.
Um it wasn't just Richard Allen. If he was involved, then they can't even really do much with that.
Right.
I mean, the prosecution really doesn't have much. If more people are coming to this side of there's more people. And this is what that memorandum is saying. Carly, welcome. Thank you. We're happy you got to catch us live as well.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And transparency is great, and everybody should be looking at both sides.
Yes.
But I already know what the Richard Allen angle is, and I'm still there with that. Show me the proof though,
Yes.
because I just want to see it. But I'm seeing more evidence coming out over here that all it takes is one juror. That's it.
Right.
And if they can get somebody like even me on the jury, and they could show me that kind of evidence, like, look, these guys might have been involved. Well, I'm probably not going to want to sentence.
You only
Richard
got to
Allen,
put that reasonable
because
doubt into one
that's-
juror's head, and you're done.
and it only takes the one. That's it. And they're doing a good job of doing it. But the thing is it ain't the defense doing it. All this stuff came from the prosecution.
Mm-hmm.
That's what's wild.
Mm-hmm.
The defense ain't making this up. This is in the material that the prosecution gave them. This is what the police uncovered.
Yeah.
It's getting crazy. It's getting comic bookish crazy.
Yeah.
Really. Who would have ever thought years ago when we first started looking at this, we'd be talking about Odinites and Vinlanders? I didn't even know what those were.
I had no clue. I was like with everybody else. I had absolutely no clue what this was. Doesn't mean it doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean, it's I mean, let's think about it like this. And again, we're just common folk here.
Yeah.
Let's think about it like this. If it was your child that was murdered, wouldn't you want to explore every possible option, as crazy, as out there, as out of the box as it is? You want to,
absolutely do whatever you got to do to find out who did it. No matter what route you got to go down, send several people down on different routes, man.
Yeah.
Figure out, and they did that. And you had a couple police officers who truly believed this angle was the truth of it. It sounds weird, but if you just take the whole their Odinites and Vinlanders things out of it and just recognize that these guys are friends, and you just put it into that context, it would make a lot more sense as well, wouldn't it?
Sure.
And you could just believe just that. It was just a couple of guys, these couple of guys who decided, man, we're going to do this.
Right. KL Martini says, for a person to take his time to stage the crime scene in such a way, why would they forget Libby's phone and the bullet is placed neatly between the two girls' feet, or between the two girls? Feels deliberate to me.
It does. It does to me too. It does. They found actually her phone was underneath, her leg, and her shoe was on top of it.
Right.
It was stacked there. I'm sure they had to know about the phone and stuff, and it seemed like it was deliberate. And I don't know quite what to make of it.
I don't either. That always that was always strange to me.
Other than maybe thinking, well, they didn't know they were being recorded or anything like that, and just figured it ain't going to hurt us none.
All right.
And just leave it where it's at. Just don't touch it. But maybe they were just thinking that. Maybe they did stack it. Maybe it is deliberate. I don't know. It's a hard one to explain.
Yeah. Carly says, it's crazy. I agree, but the defense had evidence and some circumstantial to create reasonable doubt, in my opinion.
Yeah. Same.
Yeah. So do you think the cameras will be there? Do you think this is going to be televised or and this goes for you guys in the chat? What's your opinion
I
on
honestly,
the cameras?
honestly think it's going to be up to what the families want. I think if the families were to come out and say, "Hey, we want this to be televised," then it will be.
Because I can play devil's advocate. I understand what the prosecution's saying. There's
Yeah.
going to be some underage, possible underage, girls there. Although
Yeah.
this was 5 years ago, so a lot of their friends, if they had to be put on the stand,
Yeah.
are going to be close to,
You got to look at
18.
the evidence that they might be showing, the pictures that they might be showing, they might be able to show on TV. Some of the language that might be used. I kind of get it, but transparency is always the best.
The Florida fire, Joni asked question, was the Florida fire before or after Abby and Libby?
It was a few months before.
It was a few months before, yeah.
It was in 2006, late 2016.
Yeah, KL Martinez says, I think it needs to be televised. Absolutely.
Me too.
The thing is that these people, the prosecution and the defense, they're there serving the people.
Yeah.
Okay, either defending or prosecuting, bad individuals, those who commit a crime.
Yeah.
We should be able to see,
Yeah,
as the people, okay, we should be able to see every word spoken. Yes, we understand that you're not going to be putting the cameras on the jurors. We don't care about that. We care about the information and and how this is going to, come to light.
Yeah, and look at all the people who've been following the case, the people who've been contributing to it. They want to know what in the world happened here. It's going to give everybody a better understanding. And seeing as the defense is all right with it and they want it to happen, if they're not objecting, then why should anybody else?
Sure.
I
agree. I agree. Joni says she's very chatty this morning. She's on a second pot of coffee.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, it's good.
I've had a big cup of coffee and a monster.
We get along well. I drink the coffee down in the morning and always like good conversations. So,
yeah, Joni says maybe they were just overly cocky and thought no matter we won't get in trouble for this anyway. We're all too connected.
Yeah, could be. And look, man, if they did it, they're still out. So maybe there's a lot of fear going on, and maybe just a lot of brotherhood. And I'm not going to say nothing, but people have come forward and said stuff about these guys, and that's what the thing is. And in some cases, it was two sisters, and it was ex-girlfriends, and coming and telling about these people. So people were coming forward.
And that's the thing. That's what there's certain things, that really stick out in my head with this. And one is the judge reclusing himself.
Yeah.
Why? Why would you do that? And another is how it was just overlooked when his name slips my mind now. Oh Jesus.
I can start rolling names off. Brad Holder, Patrick Westfall.
I got sidetracked. The polygraph test. Who was it that passed the polygraph test?
It was Elvis Field's sister, Mary.
Yes.
When they asked her, did he tell you these things, that he spit on the girls and that he was there that day and they joined a gang? She passed a polygraph test that he actually did say these things to her.
Right.
Yeah. And then his other sister, Joyce, also went in, because she had said the same thing. He was telling us that he was there, that he was going to be in a lot of trouble. He asked the cop, according to these documents, he asked the cop, if you find my spit on the girls and I can explain it away, will I still get in trouble? They said they got partial DNA or DNA. Some people have said it. Some people say they don't. I remember him saying that they did. And if they didn't test that guy's DNA, then wow.
Yeah.
Can you imagine if they had spit, or maybe it was on the sticks that were on top that the cops didn't even
They didn't even
take
bring
'em.
that up, and that was actually mentioned in here. KL says, what an incompetent police force, very suspect. They left the sticks behind, very
Yeah,
shady.
yeah,
Um,
it is.
Carly says ex-girlfriends of the named suspects, meaning who got the the polygraph.
Mhm.
Ruby says just like Alex's court made a lot of understand why didn't Elvis get more looked at, like surveillance.
They say he had his alibi was he was with this other guy that was involved. It's Johnny Messer or whoever, or what, I think that was his name. And his alibi was he was with him that day, but they both gave different statements to what they were doing that day together. They didn't match up, but they still didn't investigate it. And I don't know. That's the thing.
Yeah.
It's looking awfully shady. And these people live in Rushville, this Elvis Fields and this Johnny Messer, which is about 160 miles away from Delphi,
Mhm.
but are still connected with Brad Holder and Patrick Westfall over in Delphi and Lafayette. They've connected all these people. Elvis's sisters must have obviously knew he was not there on the 13th, or they wouldn't even went forward with this. They would have thought to themselves, well, he was here all day, or we saw him yesterday and he was gone. His phone was shut off from sometime, I think 10 o'clock that morning until 7 o'clock that night, according to these documents.
Right.
So they don't know where he was or what he was doing, but he was gone all day. And his sisters obviously knew that when he came back the next day and told him, hey, look, I'm in a gang. I got friends now. I'm going to be in a lot of trouble. So obviously he wasn't there. He's saying he did this. And they went to the police.
So you got somebody that says they did it. Joni says, and would they use Elvis in case they needed a fall guy? It makes sense. He is said to have a very low IQ, mental retardation. What's up, Mr. Nanners? How are you, sir?
At the same time, would they use a Richard Allen as a fall guy?
And we have speculated that too, because he was, videoed, obviously.
Yeah.
It's it's incredible to me. Was it I don't know why I can't read that. See, I haven't had enough caffeine. Was it
I'm wired for sound.
Come in here, and I'll probably mispronounce it. Penelope. I don't know. I just probably, for some reason, words get hard sometimes. It's incredible to me. She states it's incredible to me that police wouldn't preserve every bit of a crime scene. That is common sense, and most.
Yep, it is.
I get that it's a small town, but geez, I'd be furious. Like those parents. Gail says, I think Richard Allen is the fall guy.
Yeah. But we were kind of thinking the same. Yeah. Yep.
Not at all convinced about the gun evidence personally. Either are we.
Nope, not at all.
Either are we. This is even stated. This is not scientifically valid.
No, it's not.
It's not backed up. It's very subjective.
It is. And that's what they said in the report when it came out. The guy who did the firearms testing with it actually called it subjective. It's, everybody is going to have a different answer on it. And that's all they're going to need to do in court. I don't think that bullet evidence is going to do anything.
I don't think that bullet evidence is going to stand up. That's a good question, Ruby. With Elvis's low IQ of 68, if found guilty, would he go to prison?
Oh yeah, I'm sure he would. I mean, had a lot of not too bright people going to prison. So
well, we had the West Memphis Three, the one that they got to
yeah,
I can't remember his
Miss
Jesse.
Kelly.
Yep.
Yeah,
He was said to have a very low IQ. So
yeah. For double murder, yeah, they would. There's no doubt in my mind. Especially with the pool on this case. I mean, everybody wants to see somebody go down for this.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely,
So,
and I think with it going cold for 5 years, and Richard Allen stating that he was there trying to help,
yeah.
saying, "Look, I didn't see anything. This is what I saw." KO says, "I wonder if the bullet was planted to get a search warrant."
We wondered about that in the last episode too.
Yeah.
Remember, we were talking about they did that. They went into his house and
Because it's the
stuff.
same round that is a police issue.
Yeah. Wonder if it could have been too.
Joni says, I thought it was till I found out that guns are assembly line machine made nowadays.
Yeah. The same parts, the same, something could be off just a kilter, but I'm sure the defense is going to have people coming in, on the other side saying, look, I fired these 10 rounds out of this firearm, and look, I got different marks on these bullets, and that's all they'll have to show. When even the person who sends it in says it's subjective, that's not a good sign for them.
Right. Just so I don't mispronounce their name, I'm just gonna call you P. How about that? They sent Brendan Dassey, and he is the same. His whole interrogation should have been thrown out. Not sure who that is. Do you know?
No.
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 It's all right.
That's a new one.
Yeah.
Don't worry, I'll find out.
Yeah, it'd be easy to drop down a sleeve and say, "Oh, look, a bullet."
Yeah.
That's what Joni says.
Or go into his house when they had that search of his house and take it then.
Because there are there are issues that, that's pretty much what this Frank's hearing is all about. It's not about exposing an Odinistic conspiracy to kill these two girls.
Right.
It's basically to take and say the search was illegal. There was either things left out or lies put in by the police department to get this warrant obtained. That's really the crux of it. So
I mean, it's very possible they could have went to like a firearms expert, and he said, "Look, there's no way you're going to be able to know that," and turned it down. And they might have went to 2 or 3 before they got the one who said, "Yeah, it's subjective, but yeah, I'll go ahead and sign off on it."
Right.
Yeah. Who knows? Maybe they found that out.
KO says the excuse me, the defense doesn't have any photographs of the bullet, ballistics, etc.
Right on.
Which makes me wonder if it will go back to RA Richard Allen.
Yeah. Well, there's got to be like a chain. What is it? The chain of evidence from when you find it, pictures and stuff, all the way up to where it's at.
Yeah.
They don't have it. That's very suspicious. And it could get it thrown out just because of the suspicion of it, I'm sure. Especially in this case, this is going to be a big thing when this goes to trial. This is going to be bigger than Casey Anthony and OJ stuff. There are people all over the world looking into this.
Mm-hmm.
So especially if this is televised, and I think that's why the defense wants it televised. They want everybody to see this. Look, we got gun experts coming in saying it's not possible, and they want to show everybody this. And man, they came out and named names, man. That's wild. In a case like this, they actually name names. And then once again, threw a document out there and then pulled it back a day or two later, said, oopsie. That's the second time that's happened in this case. It almost makes me wonder if there's not somebody who's working in the police department or in the court system who says, I'm going to put this out there just long enough for people to get it and then tell them I didn't know I wasn't supposed to put it out. It's happened twice now. And then the people get it and they copy it, and then we start talking about it, and here we are. So
Yeah.
whoever that is that's doing that, and I guess thanks. We're getting some info.
Right.
It's odd info, but
And Joni says, and if you think you're dealing with crooked folks and you need to get info out, the memo is a good way to do it. Get the public talking on your side and expose them. P says, very suspicious, kicking the FBI off the case too.
Yep, it is.
Absolutely. We talked about that, I think, a little bit on the last show last week. She says, I'm going by your picture. You would think that they would want all the help they could get. I think a lot of small town politics is coming into play, and
Yes.
I couldn't agree more.
Yes. And with the FBI, they were done away with off of the case. But it says in the documents that the FBI agent said that he believed it was an Odinite group who did this.
Yeah.
That's probably why they were kicked off the case.
The behavioral unit,
unit
said, yes, this is suspect.
Yeah.
That this is staged.
They didn't want them coming to that conclusion.
Exactly.
So see you, FBI.
So they said, well, we haven't gotten enough information here, recently, and it's going cold. Or did they just back off of it to make it appear like it was going cold? And then they could say, well, we can't afford to have you guys here anymore.
Yeah.
So you're going to have to ziggity boo out, get on out of here.
Yeah. There is a lot of shadiness going on in Carroll County, Indiana.
And that's outside of this case.
Yeah.
I mean, this is not just something that has, just started with this case. If we're seeing some very shady shit going on
with very powerful groups,
in this case, we're gonna see it in other stuff too. People are getting away with parking tickets, speeding tickets.
It's a saying. They, like I said, with their cops, they have no luck with their police officers. And in Carroll County, a couple of them died in a police car crash hitting the pole. One of them committed suicide while he was on duty. It's just in the last couple of years.
Yeah.
They can't keep cops.
Is there any connection with them? What were those cops?
I looked into it, but it doesn't appear like there is. The guy who killed himself apparently was just having issues, and Sean, that's what they say. Now, who knows? And then the other two were killed after they hit a pole in the squad car. But they have no luck. They have powerful groups of people. Maybe they're just completely overtaken by their lodge, man. Who knows? It's a small town. Delphi is. Every little town's got a lodge. We got a lodge. They're all over the place.
Yeah.
And maybe just the most powerful people are all connected in there, and they're sticking up for each other. And maybe that's what it is.
And
it's shady. It really is shady.
And in the midst of all this shadiness, like P says here, the saddest part of all this is those poor little girls may never get justice because of all this. Yeah. I mean, it could be, covered up to the point where an innocent man goes to jail. They think that it's, solved and it's done and justice has been done. And that may not, be the case. KL says the defense says that that there are police officers with patches of, and Odin we trust and all that on their uniform. So if that is true, that's very suspect. And then Joni says spiritual warfare. Yeah.
Yeah.
There it is. I'm very curious to see if there are pictures, of these patches. If that comes out, that okay, everything he is saying is matching up.
Yeah.
He was very forthcoming. He, being Richard Allen, was very forthcoming in the beginning. He was not called in as a person of interest or a suspect in the beginning.
Right.
He willingly went to the police and said, hey, I was on the bridge that day and I saw these girls, describing what he saw when he got there, what, he was doing, trying to help.
Right.
They didn't find anything on him.
Right.
He was just a local CVS pharmacist, not doing anything.
Right on.
He didn't change his appearance over the past 5 years. He didn't get rid of any of his guns, none of his none of his clothes. He still had all the clothes that were, he was described as wearing.
Yeah.
So then you have Elvis's sister who goes, "Hey, my brother said he might be in trouble for something, and this and that and the other, and
said he spit on Abby, said that he put horns on her head because she was a troublemaker."
Right.
You know,
I mean,
describing the scene.
and they're like,
yeah,
that's too creepy.
Yeah.
Really?
When people think things are too far-fetched, that's when people are going to start doing far-fetched things so they can get away with it.
So they can get away with it. So you covering, the guards, Carly says the guards do have Odin stuff on it. They do?
Yeah.
Have we seen
I've seen the patches, people showing pictures of the patches. And if they're wearing those, then yeah, there's definitely something going on there.
Oh, Carly says he saw their Facebook. So those patches do exist on these uniforms.
Well, that says a lot.
Both the guards, Carly says both the guards are 100% Odinites. And as always, P says, as always, especially if you're innocent, never talk to the police without a lawyer. That was probably bad on his part.
Yeah.
Wow.
I thought about something when you were saying that earlier about Richard Allen, he could be innocent. Just remember a week after the girls were killed, Brad Holder and his son went to the viewings and the funeral for Abby. So he was there. If he was involved in this, he also went to their funeral. Think about that.
Yeah. Carly said, found their Facebook, and there is in fact patches.
Wild. So that says a lot.
Please send me a link. I would like to look at that myself. That's interesting.
That would pretty much say it all.
Tom Nally, he joined us about 35 minutes ago. He popped up on my other screen over. Sorry, Tom.
So I guess, the question that I have though, okay, so all this is going on. How is justice going to be served when all the justice is corrupt? Who's going to serve this justice?
Yeah.
And
that's what was,
and that's sad. That is sad for them girls.
It is.
And I've always thought it was every time I look at their picture and see it on a video or a documentary, man, I can't help but tear up. I would give my life for them to be here. Two sweethearts.
It's just nuts, man.
They need justice. It doesn't matter how many people are involved. If 50 people got to go down, and 50 people got to go down.
It is what it is.
Their lives meant something.
There's a link in the description to my email. No, but I will post it right here. 1 second. There you go. Thank you, Carly. Yeah, that's interesting because I was just talking about that. I was watching some, videos that had come out in the past day or so, seeing if anything, just seeing what people were talking about.
Yeah.
Yes, a lot of information that we get are either from, things that we find on our own, a lot of times from other podcasts. A lot of good ones out there. We're about to wrap up, but I want to throw out a couple podcasts that I've been listening to. Grizzly True Crime.
Yeah, I
like her. She does very, very in-depth, deep dives. We do not so much. hey, working.
We just sit around and have conversations. man.
Yes, Flamingo Hunter has joined us a little late. I found your channel the other night. Love it and your perspective on the case. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Ruby says the FBI agent is federal. Seems like they would have more control to take over the case.
They don't, because it's not a federal case. They were brought in by the state. It's a state case. They brought them in for help. And since it's not a federal case, the state can tell them, hey, we don't need you around no more. Now, if it was a case like where they took them across state lines, something like that, or suspected serial killer,
they would have jurisdiction. They would have prior or
jurisdiction.
Okay. Flamingo is the grizzly. Yeah, that's what they call him over there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Flamingo's the grizzly. Yes,
pretty
grizzly
great.
true crime is good. Another one I like, Annie Elise.
10 to Life.
10 to Life.
Yeah, I like that one.
10 to Life. She does a really, really good one as well. I really like grizzly true crime. Boy, you talk about deep dives, man.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Good stuff over there. So I just wanted to shout them out because I do. I watch their stuff, and it makes me think. And then
I still watch.
That's interesting.
I still watch the Lord and Arts, the Brain Scratch and stuff. I like that too. Been watching him for years.
Defense Diaries is also a really good one as well. I've had that one sent to me and told to check out. So. Man, what what crazy stuff. We should really do some maybe a show on like the Evansville because there are Evansdale. Yeah, there are some cases that
very similar.
Very similar. Excuse me, in the right around the same area, within 4 hours,
5, 6 hours
from Delphi. Not that difficult to travel to if something like this needs to be done.
And possibly look into Richard Allen and see if he worked into those places with Walmart and all that stuff at the time. It'll all be fun to look at.
Yeah.
Try to figure it out. You can't figure nothing out. We just like to have a good conversation.
Absolutely. And as I've mentioned, as over there on Grizzly True Crime, as she has mentioned, all we can do is speculate. We find all this information, we speculate, but we're not going to know anything until the case, until it goes, until the trial.
Yeah, but maybe the defense will get their way and we'll all know what they got.
Yeah. I mean, this ain't about, oh, see, I was right. I was right. No, this is about,
Justice.
Okay, hey, I don't want to say I hope I'm wrong about these cults and everything, because who knows what that can lead to.
Yeah.
But, we all want justice for Abby and Libby. Great stream, came in late. But you guys have a good insight and aren't speculating or drawing ridiculous conclusions, which I appreciate. Well, thank you, and we appreciate you guys as well.
Very much.
So with that being said, hey, you guys have a great start to your Monday.
Absolutely.
And I do appreciate all the kind words over there on the channel, which is where you guys, it looks like a lot of you guys are. Hey, if you guys come across anything, I dropped my email in there, nightofthelivinggreads@gmail.com.
It's all about the conversation. Keep it going.
It's all about the conversation. It's, it's all about, hey, we're all just playing detective here, but I think our goals and, are the same. And that's to, hey, we're trying to help out too.
Yeah.
I've mentioned you look at Court TV, man, everybody's got a podcast.
Yeah, they do.
Everybody's just trying to figure out what's going on. I mean, we put our ideas out there, and hey, you never know.
Yeah.
I mean,
see what happens.
Maybe, somebody says something. It's like, hey, wait a minute,
Hopefully these families have justice soon.
Yes. And with that, we hey, you guys have a great Monday, and thanks for being here. We'll talk talk to you soon.